Kris, you want to know the announcement? That's my one. That's not mine. One of you happened out 10 that is not red.
I do, yeah.
Cool. Everyone ready? Let's get started.
I affirm part 1 is framework versus the problem, attempting to understand agents and ethics from an idealized static nonsense of violence. Starting point fails. First, ethical decision making is inherently discriminatory. Any new allocation is violence towards all other obligations. If I help one person, means I cannot help but spend time helping another person. Have little for rights, responsibility, takes place in relation to a negative thinking of others. Even if it's possible to sacrifice yourself to another, it would mean that you have to disgrace all others who need help. I cannot respond to obligation without sacrificing others. This has a couple implications. A1 means all of the firms rely on idealized where they fail to get action because they create infinite contradictory obligations to produce violence. B-point impact turns idealized frameworks which create absolute violence. It justifies absolute try to create absolute peace. It justifies absolute violence where nothing can ever occur. Happen too. An ideal ends up prevail on violence such that director takes issue with the challenge that absolute peace is desirable where all violent things include nothing can happen. Absolute peace is inseparable from absolute violence. Part 2 is the solution. Conflict and violence are inevitable. The only way we can organize it through agonism. Frame those who are opposing it not as the enemy who must be destroyed, but an adversary whose ideas must be fought. I don't pretend to resolve all exclusion. I just mean exclusionary thing. Pretend to resolve exclusionary thing. Roots of state practice, gendered language. Liberal theories incapable of accounting for the conflict. The public life will never be able to dispense with the advantage of antagonists for it. Attempts to constitute we with the context diversity of conflict. Yet to constitute we must distinguish from they. It's absolutely they discrimination in a matter compatible with pluralism. Pluralist democracy is characterized by a distinction between an enemy and adversary. Within the we, the opponent of an enemy is to be destroyed by an adversary whose existence is legitimate. Their ideas will be followed, but their right to defend them will never be questioned. Yet enemy remains of those who question pluralist democracy. The standards consistent with agonist democracy for the standard first that agonism outweighs regardless of the role of the valid framework. To make assumption about the structure or shape of activity requires or morality even requires an initial assumption that debaters have the ability to fancy sort of things that entails a higher level iteration and conversation about how the value should function, or what ethics is relies on initial AC premise from the class back to the AC. Second, educator spaces plus embrace contestation as a condition for resistance. Any attempt to exclude challenges reaffirms pedagogical imperialism, where the teacher knows best. Rickard 01 writes, implicit in pedagogy is faith in teaching can resist in dominant practices gain power. However, teaching is fully complicit with dominant practice. We should ask what forms of thinking are being proposed. If our goals is resistance, we should be equally attuned to contestation and the possibility of knowing struggle will be the most important. Impact calculus consequences are relevant to the framework. It's about creating the procedures for agonistic discourse. 8 point is that being that access to discourse is not a material condition, but a procedure that creates that is created through the structure of our actions. Only institutional arrangement can ensure proper discursive fear. Viewpoint aggregation is impermissible beneath the framework. It justifies why rationality and utility calculus are bad because they rely on an idealized notion of the subjects that we can compare and count them. C point is problem induction. We only have no evidence that past can be used to predict the future. The only evidence that we have is that in the past, the past has been used to predict the future accurately, but that just assumes what we're trying to prove. Vicar 14 writes that the problem induction concerns methods that convert the principles that prove deductively. First of all, did you know it can be supported inductively by argument that has always been reliable? The past would beg the question by assuming what it needs to be proved. And the point its consequences scale. We live in an infinite universe. Rostrum 09 writes evidence just the world's probably infinite. Then there's an infinite number of people. Infinite was creating an infinite number of positive negative value. Though we can only do a finite amount of good or bad. But the consequential series apply that is always ethically indifferent. So part 2 is the advocacy. I'll defend the resolution. I defend implementation, but it's irrelevant to my framework. Part 3 is the contention. Censorship is never justified since censorship relies on the assumption that some viewpoint is not legitimate enough to be voiced. Institutions should foster free speech, not destroy it. But move 2K writes foster pluralism and creating institutions that would make it possible to follow democratic rules. Space need to be provided for different practices in order to be instances for democratic rules to be inscribed diversity and its conditions for existence. All participants will recognize the positions for all the success is legitimate. 1 second is that consequential frameworks affirm 8 point empirical reverse enforcement increased discrimination. Strawson 01 writes human rights watch conclude that suppressing hate speech is not effective crime of equality. There's a little connection between hate speech and laws and lessening of racial violence. The most stringent hate speech laws in South Africa use almost exclusively against the black majority. 15 countries compared their notes on the actual impact of hate speech laws. Inclusion, not even a correlation level causation could be shown. Often there was an inverse relationship. Viewpoint is that free speech allows on college campuses allow students to become critical advocates who demand liberation themselves. To Brander 15, right? Schools might produce individuals who critically for themselves, who demand their own rights to choose their own path to develop for theory or education, produces a community of questioners. It introduces equality that will be the politically separated emergent classrooms, dissenting classroom where students are merging in discussions and direct questioning, encourages students to speak their mind and experience their thoughts. Part 4 is the underview. First, allow the affs to drop debate or confusion interpretations to RBIs and fairness of the voter. In the aff, to impact 8 points that just shows abuse of affs. So by granting no risk to the theory of voting each on theorem, incentivize you to fair position or lose on theory. B point, one of our recourse forcing the app to justify parenting issues don't want to see, or one of our laws to spread out the app on parenting issues like PB Pen does every single time they read a condo pick, which also means kill series recourse, also means theory becomes too much time. So to read theory in the 1 hour killing theory is recourse. Second is roll ballots, vote on the truth or falsity resolution. Prefer 8 points text. 5 dictionaries define truth and negate is not true or an affirmative truth, which means the sole obligation of the judges to vote on the truth or falsity resolution is abundantly that rules are verified. B point is a contesting the roll ballot and the 1 to see is bad for the AC framework as long as it's theoretically legitimate. First, 6 means the AC often self-letters for often just as ground viewpoint. Also means negative gets superficial education, never engaged with the opportunities to get fairness and never engaged with that. Education voters is the main value of the debate. Fairness of voters is about us to be debater. Educate you with rounds of fair authority, co-ops all their offense. They can read the revolt about when they're affirmative 3. Agonists just need to stop literal exclusion and gain skills to fight oppression. Harrigan 08 writes willingness to be open to alternate views as visual impact, rendering certain who have beliefs us off limits for debates and just distinct from exclusion. Certain groups of people are defined almost exclusively by the arguments they hear. Pluralism requires acknowledge that opposing beliefs by forcing understanding the person of are not universal. Students should have to listen and understand their opponents to become advocates on their behalf. For is that the arguments that things are not progressing are effectively appealing but historically imprecise. Jacobson 922 writes there's also statistical evidence that black experience has been on the upward trajectory of black poverty, never fell below 30% between 66 and 94. Life expectancy after 1900, black men and women could live until their 30s. Since then, life expectancy has doubled till 70s. African American graduations from high school and college have risen over time. 5 is that epistemology indicts specific warrants. Otherwise, they're just ad homs. You can't just assert that that something is true and say that just because it's said by the other side is bad and automatically wrong unless you have evidence for why their specific warrant or their specific evidence that's cited is incorrect, which means that force them to make specific epistemology indicts rather than just being too far left and saying literally everything ever created is by the one to see stands is a bad thing. 6 is that interpretation that negative may not read a pick. Violation is that this is preemptive. C standards after it picks to steal 6 minutes AC often since you do the entirety after with a different just with a small part of it, which makes it functionally impossible for me to engage arguments. 2 impacts 8 point immediate decreases that it makes it impossible to affirm because I lose all my app time picks at 13 7 times. 2 B point is means the negative doesn't actually clash with the 1 AC because they can just steal all my off and never actually think how to engage with the 1 AC. That's what I affirm.
Good.
Yep.
Start on the consequences fail stuff. First, the induction argument. How do we predict anything in the world? Like, how do we function if induction fails?
Right, that's like circular reasoning, saying it's not pragmatic for induction to fail does not prove that induction works.
That's
It
not
just
the
means it's
question I asked.
unpragmatic.
My question was, how do we function absent induction?
So you use intuition, you use intention-based frameworks like the 1
Wait, no. How do I like operate in my everyday life if it is true that induction fails? Like, how do I know I should go outside?
That you can just go outside because it's like part of your will, right? And that's like a good thing for you to do. But you can't go outside because like you predict it will be like like something else will happen. Like this room is gonna collapse, right? Because
wait, how do I know where food will be?
Like all these arguments to prove it's unpragmatic for this to be true. That doesn't prove it's not true. It just means that it sucks that it is true.
The universe is infinite. What does that mean? The consequences fail.
It indicates there's always an infinite amount of consequences, both positive and
because
negative.
there's like infinite space in the universe. Why does it mean there's infinite consequences? There
Because
are only so many people.
No, because if there's infinite universes, any probability that there are people in any of those universes times infinity is still infinity, which means that there's infinite people.
Well, why are there not infinite wills then?
That is not relevant to the framework, right? It's not a question of if there are infinite wills, but rather, what is the will of this action, and is it good or bad or not?
Alright, the underview stuff, what does it mean to challenge the roll of ballot?
So, any arguments that we should treat test?
What does it mean to deny the truth of the resolution?
Prove the resolution is false. It's like pretty self-explanatory. Like,
Like, in what sense is it false? Like, if I read a K that says, like, res bad, is that
you can make arguments for a specific case. Some cases would prove the resolution false, but some cases that operate on like a pre-fiat layer wouldn't.
Alright, why did you read the Jacobson evidence?
It's just a preempt.
So what?
Any sort of argument that says like things are not progressing.
Why would you read that? It seems like a very specific series of arguments.
It's just because I wanted to read underview arguments. I had extra time, so I just like found the first card.
How do we measure what is or is not useful speech?
The affs says all speech. It's not relevant whether it's useful, but rather whether it's a good thing or not. It's not relevant
How
if
do
it's
we
good or
measure
not,
what
but rather
is?
if it's just like if you have access to that discourse, which the 1AC says you should.
We have access to that discourse?
Yeah,
I
all
guess-
people should have access to their ideas. Even if they're incorrect, they should be thought as ideas, not censored.
Why?
That's what the move to K warns. Because otherwise, we will be justifying an exclusionary ethic, which the starting point of the 1AC proves is an incorrect starting point.
Why are, like, objectively terrible ideas valuable?
They are not valuable, but they have the right to have them, and we should attack their idea, but not them as a person.
It'll be 3 Ks. I'm good. Everyone good? Yeah, yep.
First off is the cap the problem neoliberal status quo, not a lack of communication, but rather the fetishization of speech. Our society is ever more democratic, which precisely what allows capitalism to operate. Radical politics, rejected democratic institutions readily available, or anything short kills class movies, D14, with a combination of revenue, social movements, rather democratic competition, movements, and eventually, formative upwards, community capitalism, eventually speaking, capitalism, no, make sure less of reference, democratic which make the neoliberalism, democracy, condition, politics, social capitalism, non-imperial violence, opposing domestic affairs, occupation was declared, education, massive pressure, capital, and capital, rich was anticipated, operating, republic, expression, the movement, express, becoming a civil element of culture, construction, inclusive, is national effects, entering the movement ability to construction against capitalism, movements, probably democratic, civil, democracy, expressing vision, capitalism, the enterprise, and contracting democratic institution, the democracy, like the actors, on the underplaying the language, democracy, the one who was the by Montague's class, public avoidance, but I was to a dismantle of division, capital supporters, recognized self-support, and sustainable news, obfuscated by democratic teaching, to what it comes to a person of the because that's the name of the stop on the operating groups, a journal of my outcome, the liberty. Liberty politics and economic positions, and this terms the case, qualification piece reflex of the capitalism illusion free debate speech, meaningless kills by Lesmith 14, undercraft music products, goes for society, institution, people, and the obvious for the ability to subject managing merely for the value of a big man resource, the operator becomes illusion made interesting to the over to because the over experience of freedom is a capital no made on a means for reason that I hate so real, and amongst equality, justice, and water rights about the as because of the meaning of some companies principles and our critique and always the case deal with cause extinction and massive social qualities, the abstract, legalistic solutions, it's a kind of politics, deal, both education, over cause, goes in question, part 15, ecological member, military, research, for politics, justice, and political justice, pursuit of movements, especially capitalism, supposed to what is the economic symbol of the drive, both country, capitalism, local, protect, like government, the city, what is resolution, nature, right, solutions, legislative policy, temper, management, political testicle, transport, policy, people, of justice, preserve the passage, policy, myself, justice, fundamentals, the alternative is to abandon the primitives, hope for all, heard more discourse in favor of a militant class struggle, rather than pretty ways to decide radicalism, let the process must begin with reclaiming of political imagination, and politics formations outside of capitalism, the over 1160s activism centered on rights to field project that they firmly tries to reinvent, which also relates to the same result, Hegel 12, when he looked at Hegel's expensive market value, the purpose of liberty, freedom, sales, self-respect, the economic values, globalization culture, this rationalizing neoliberal capitalist class politics, creating illusive, general justice, culture, chauvinism, altruistic, virtue, culture, capital, office, project by obscuring the expert relations, protection, interest, new fairness, and as capital, as bonus capacity, natural, alternative, technical, support, the equals as computer activity, progressive, picture of the spirit for bodies, individuals, safety, and right to balance, the actual distribution, present with the global capital, capital, the individual, living, this condition led to capitalism. Next up is the NCX, accident breaks all ties and enters any AC preamps, postrum, 12, they made under without conservatives, video, gets big your circle that it's a spirit for our circle that but it's directors and future warning list or that only are creating the best way maybe small but there future contain a lot of even extinction justifies moral loopholes, Bach 88, no with the circle of getting careers, the learning use of the signal, just for saying like death real, country bell, the rational president, just say without extension for percent the what else we can all about hospital, say like maybe the responsible issues in order to another world comparison. Next, science proves non-util ethics are possible in a version of our version of util solves all offense, green 10, triple sciences, it's telling us that argument morally judgment is no perceived rational and perceived more just for trick by hospital emotional any position shaped by hospital about the reports about the cultural scene the business of any or no more than anything coming normal which is done social not by our facilities is the misunderstood and social sector community identify same social systems by the simply identifying social any social person existing in plenty of as I'm a sort of examples and inadequate religion politics the emotional self-interest but it's a good talking brother a person of conscious teaching director people's where obviously a constitutional principle of any person will be a decision making a constitutional according to reasons by principles got the card of principles and predictions are possible and useful mere number 1 political requirements about here some disasters no science next off the dissent schools are feeling euphoric starting 17 is endowments planning our accounts for 2016 projections Lawrence Smith 328 land officer bar enforcement 16 endowments has a walking 4.7% this is looking at 30 30% also say average of 41% doesn't there we also make percent of fiscal more than 100 million 30% ever things are going well in previous rulings for the speech goes to federal funding versus 3 after most 6% of our security culture must be making some remarks without I took them to the cultural speech about speech about Education is key to soft power, 9 to 5, university advance on American foreign policy, a little bit better understanding all the power of the world, education brings us into soft power, and the overall country, country, all these education here, American with the benefits for the learning from a more system, make sure America's learning some culture differences, obviously, most loyal, that's working more sensible, more perceptions, soft power solves multiple station scenarios, 907, decimal temperature, central government, tools of tradition era, there's a pandemic season, everyone has a warm summer, the rest of the morning, the other, security solves about the climate, there's a key enemies of the under the many houses, skills, as they receive themselves, depending on the other church, just for the other 40 petitions, one of the courts of law, must be in a breakfast for case. The marketplace of ideas, a terrible government influence your children, as a provider for shutdown, it is an endless space instead of action hour, applicants and procedures can work exchange impossible, and you're ready for the reservation, so letter, government to especially the speech of the action, your first amendment of opportunity, the office of justice, because the expected life for speech today, constantly, I guess the country is located, the manufacturer is secretly just with a base speech receiver, warning this is I guess really little ransom, but this is our process to conditions of the MHL, risk averse speakers, cut the carded, risk averse speakers, the underview arguments about framing a point, we do not contest any of their specific framing. All of our arguments approve the policy of the resolution. The resolution resulting extinction and capitalism would obviously be bad arguments. When we are allowed to contest the specific half of the rule to validate point, it's key to testing new formats. Small complicated frameworks that are broken earlier are possible to contest absent any ability to read other things. You don't have the ability to generate options. They say moves AC offense. No, you can just win the framework. You don't know when you're against offense. You can also read multiple kinds of AC offense. You read consequential offense. You have to. They say we have to never have to clash there. Framework incentivizes no clash because it incentivizes the small frames that are possible to answer. They say co-ops all their offense, not true at all. They result to leverage any of their offense. They're implicit assumption in the app. For example, liberalism good, which they can always weigh.
Sounds good. CX. Everyone ready?
Yep.
Cool. Status of all.
Condo.
Alright. Let's talk about the federal funding arguments. You say speech codes are key to federal funding. You say ban offensive speech. This was in the context of sexual harassment. Why is this constitution protected?
I entirely disagree. The evidence, the Bernstein evidence, says that colleges that don't enforce Title IX to the letter get their funding cut. The empirical example is Santa Rosa Community College that didn't follow Title IX to the letter, which, well, yes, includes sexual harassment, also includes like a number of other clauses that colleges have to enforce that aren't like consequential.
Where does this card say that?
Well, Title IX is not just don't sexually harass people. It is, the evidence says, hold on, I'll read the quote. Quote, students are not exposed, restrictions ensure students are not exposed to a, quote, hostile environment, which is an unbelievably vague term that means substantially more than just
can you name a
sexual
single
harassment.
college has lost funding as a result of Title IX?
Yes.
What college?
After male students in Santa Rosa Community College.
They said they were threatened to lose. Where do they prove that they actually lost funding?
So our argument is that the college founders speech about to avoid losing federal funds, universities were required to ban offensive speech.
All right, Donald Trump and Jeff Sessions are in charge of enforcing Title IX.
The federal government does not have the jurisdiction to cut federal. That's like not how that works.
Where does your evidence indicate this?
We'll read evidence in the block, but you haven't made that argument yet. That's that block.
That's
And
like,
it's
just like not how
you
the
haven't.
government works.
You're just
Like that shit, like the government enforces Title IX.
That is true, but Donald Trump doesn't.
Doesn't the Secretary of Education and Betsy DeVos and Jeff Sessions enforce it? Who else would?
No, so
Then
those
people
individuals
who
are not the people who like literally decide what colleges do or do not get funding. They make like broad sweeping claims about like how Title IX should operate. But
All right, they're like hugely in favor of free speech.
Have
Why
they?
would they not like make this broad change?
you're like so misunderstanding how the government works. That would require like massive congressional changes. It would require like a ton of time. Either way, our argument is that they would lose Title IX funding as it currently exists. I think if you read evidence, it's like Title IX is like about to be changed. You like probably have like maybe a chance with this.
All right, that's fine. after CX, can you delete everything in this document?
It's just the stuff at the bottom.
Send in the,
Just the stuff on refactor. Everything else is good.
cool. So you say you create a chilling effect because how is this an offensive turn?
Our
Just
argument.
as like the government could get involved in things later and get the present danger.
No, the argument is the clear and present danger test is something that is like post hoc, so it happens after the fact. You say something and like a bunch of days later, the college is like, you shouldn't have said that, and you get in trouble.
Why is that unique?
Our argument is that that is worse than in a world where there are speech codes up front because people know what they like can or cannot say. Our argument is that a world where we take away speech codes but leave that intact is one where people are more chill because they don't know what will or will not be punished.
All right, that's fine. It's 5 minutes, right? Yeah. All right, stop for 229 left.
concede the framework, they've conceded consequentials of the firm, which is the reverse enforcement argument with the Strauss and one evidence that's only first against black people, which obviously their impacts 8-point aggregating occurs literally every single day, while their impacts occur only a single time, they occur to a large distribution which must have them, their impacts occur my way at scope point, size of length, they literally 100% drop the chances of the chance that she was 100%, while I will put a lot of events with the just at C point is that you should focus on small impacts, otherwise that's more education, because that's the problems that occur in the real world rather than just discussing abstract problems like extinction, which probably never occur in the real ever. That's where the group is people writing extinction scenarios forever, and they never be able to engage. They've also seen the evidence that lots of people become their own advocates, which also turns back the data because it proves that people become advocates to change the government to make sure they don't take away funding. Unfortunately, this all their impacts now. The NC proper, sort of the paralysis argument, which is the Bostrom abstract modesty Bostrom 11. First, it leads to paralysis because everything also leads to extinction. We obviously need to do things like look at small level safety, justifies things like racism because we would just disregard small scale impacts by saying that. But by saying that we need to focus on large scale, since the extinction impacts would literally never occur, which is independent reason rejected. Bostrom evidence how the disad proper first. As an overview, first time I was almost never forced when it's handled internally after 4 decades. No university has ever lost federal funding. Thompson 11 risk scores have so much followed by, but there's a little chance that the government will investigate punish the Office of Rights laws keeps the dragon viewers and schools to investigate any school will violate Title 9 schools and federal funding, but the punishment has never been used since Congress passed the law in 1972 seconds that link turn no unit against alumni and project donation now because of lack of free speech within 16 years many alumni increase support when those censorship take place at colleges 64% were found donors alumni generally endorse free speech 3 just no impact 5 warrants for all 12 rights 1 most institutions have no endowments second endowments are not that big for 45.5 million spend on $3 many schools that are fully rounded, no weight, no donations come from restrictions. 5 is 54% of endowments are tied in illiquid investments. 4 is that clearly Donald Trump and Jeff Sessions would never enforce this argument because they like free speech, which is what the evidence indicates is the civil rights who are able to implement it, which is Donald Trump has control over. 5, there's so many all causes, things like to education, the strength of our private schools, the fact that Donald Trump is our president probably means all our self-government, government, all the fact that they have a large military, all these things affect self-government. There's no reason why this is a unique internal link around the probability of their impact down to 0. They also did no weighing in the 1 and C, which means you shouldn't allow the weighing in the 2 because I knew I should both weigh the first time we have opportunity to make those arguments now. Proceed. First permutation, do the alternative in all instances, but they do happen in specific instances. 8 points that specific instance material bonds, which I feel they've considered occurs in this specific round. That kills also insults. You cannot enact alternative. You're literally getting you're not getting your education, or you're getting silence. 8 points that if the all can result in other circumstances, definitely resulting. Second case outweighs. We shouldn't just focus on overarching structures about what cap has. Just a very small size blink impact, and they've not read any external rule of that, which means all the impacts are out. But out of the case that will be in specificity and on probability now, the impact beat. I'll concede the link arguments impact turn cap increase poverty increase life expected of 126 improved poverty 16 rates. Nothing in life is more than the poverty of the market. The number of people living in $2 less than half of it is 1990. The biggest thing to occur in countries that open up the market such as China and India. Cap has reduced child mortality rates. Cap has enabled plans to sustain 7 billion, multiply the gains back to life gains life existing people like humanities better off by a factor of around 170 times. These changes are not about tax self type status, but not sharing the knowledge of material comes before this. How is 8 point across they don't get episodes indicts and material impacts on first. That's all the arguments that util every point. Empirical points how we analyze the points. They test the arguments are true in the first source. CC point and scale might prove that life is equivalent 120,000, which is absurd. Large impact with 16 makes life more than the first place viewpoint. Scope crossed by that rates every single day. Now see if the next argument down the line behind their arguments. They say kills value of life refers to distinction between financial value and moral value, which will impact its argument. Second, so you prefer material impact. There's no reason why value of life matters. Like just the usual impact, which you can see now the far right evidence versus Travis have seen more just to do asserting that equal shocks coming in that capitalist X impacts. They said no historical analytical system evidence. Second, instant income inequality, militarism here, no impact income inequality, overall political poverty, trees, no warrant right capitalism, militarism, tax also environment, this 12 rights, transforming key to electricity, got American CO2 to be 50% 20 years, prototypes are just in place. Object to provide fuel object requires only some CO2, plenty worse than 12% in some areas. We'll offset 1,000 coal. Let's go through there. The next off interpretation, they agree with a condo FC violation. They do the C standard strategy to create fuel negative fuel opposite forcing after feedback while creating a 2-1-2 if I mess up either way. You the one who's on the union like fairness. So seeing it, the strategy, you lost valid, and they can see the fairness to go to the all the education approach in that all the fairness to restriction. They'll get tested next week. Second class, condo centralized and go further. The two are just to kick out of half the arguments. They don't get any education.
The condo standards versus Grasview and Flash.
Yeah.
I have 255.
Yep.
it'll be like kicking out of business and stuff for
Alvin said that Thomas Evans knows colleges never lost money for Title IX. He's no impact. You take over straight term because there's no impact to Title IX. The util and C paralysis metaphors are able to Gen 10. Only feel paralysis. Sure what to do. Started the global everything results in paralysis. Paralysis to the consequences reach references for sales assuming that a temporary activity is just no social way to own the reality able to operate the master validity of mental active breast naturalization social superior biological triple C verse 9 pressure books on how to apply features final national period national priorities disability national semester human disqualification disability personally I think one of the property body certain way a disqualifying defect as race of sex and classical way this whole the disability reference wall versus disability reference kind of particular adjustment priority both that can make your able to mirror the adjustments rejected in every instance that ways of fairness often is a question on of individual game playing it is a question of alien experience to make equals mirror equal turn 11 the business make equals equals but I don't like reference to this station across the this thing over culture these which are going to know can also the warnings that need for build back from the able for craft awareness the link is policy for also the boss evidence next the next condo counter tradition we can have one conditional critique in the status quo must pick one of the two I'm going for the critique needs to meet the overview is one counter trip solves are opposites you have to pick an answer by the end of the day again last page people develop their arguments is one MCP 2 all arguments conditional teeth inevitably go for every argument saying the condo is bad is arbitrary is 3 multiple firms check you get one conditional obviously firms or even worse than the introduce multiple conditional rules say it also prevents from getting over crystallizing back up say wait proves it after the event of the day fairness one the negative status quo or whether we're left kind of planning the app can't go for their plan without fairness now actions have better ground because they can make equal to law firms so they can't go for anything will start smart blows have a more outstanding given one Dutch option is a more reasonable the entire AC should be designed to criticize status quo adding status quo uniquely unharmful because if you're in the test of the counter plan it should be easy to win the status quo is bad lastly they get no offense so I only read one advocacy the fairness is so small they agree on fairness like us like investors is outweighs anyway next the if one is logic it outresolve their arguments because next the assumption behind there's no assumption as an argument is reasonable because if it's not logical we would logically prove the counter plan alternative or the counter is bad you shouldn't get to win just because you use it doesn't prove the app is good it proves you shouldn't win just because you prove one position bad too information processing condo of course you have to react to different ideas generate a real responsible to fix better and processing information and downward situation similarly over information over best for students to code most valuable skill high head and Heisenberg level suits are pretty good also thinking information over the kind of touch information over the but 11 other concept of basing higher education information literacy skills and social the CDC other workforces now the democratic information as a general of you find answers ignore the information and information problem solving is urgent which you should evaluate the metric is a question of a size of link versus strength of impact we read evidence specifically why condo is good for education not just education broadly which means they have to do specific weighing about condo not just education versus fairness in a vacuum we've also read pretty clear defensive fairness means this way is also the only portable skill we get from basic so we can advocate for things in the real world DK Overview of the K first, the impact calculus, extinction outweighs the most of the util densities conceded. It says that the ability to resolve extinction should the ability to resolve extinction come before any understanding because the only way we can observe the possibility of life there arguments about making impossible to make individual action is obviously nonsense. Our argument is we should prevent extinction whenever possible. Not that the only possible calculation should be that argument is that fundamentally extinction outweighs, not that it is the only thing we can ever consider any circumstance. Our problem evidence of first the environment to one extent part of the endless growth is embedded in the structure of CAPS DNA 2 the symptom focus most environmental problems are claimed to be solved by near-live warming air pollution solar erosion were all created by rapid periods of neoliberal expansion industry by control of the city this is suppression rapid neoliberal problems again that it can't solve that's our problem evidence 3 profit maximization over consumption means neoliberal guarantees environmental destruction multiple Warren Smith 14 the same book for CAPS so you don't maximize our profits in the environment or any conflict you see those corporate personnel but most of the time you know coming over here on 100% industry on business put for possession no reasonable discretion cannot be green limited or decent missions of course of construction no protection over subject on the basis of the campus and over consumption main efforts in the poverty stuff. Are you kidding me? Capitalism will obviously result in poverty. Argument is that the idea of monetary value give and take is one that is bad, they say, but it solves for poverty obviously nonsense too. Even if it is true that cap solves the short term now, our evidence says it is fundamentally at odds with nature, which means it will come to a collapse anyway. It doesn't matter how good it is in the short term. 3 yield disaster both inequality creates unsustainable debt is because of economic collapse. Some more among you about 13 the arrest which forces zero this is versus also policies which are unforeseeable center for distance the 30-year-old was result in total lesser in order for the universe the policy democracy, already deal with possibility of gross rate of all, unemployment rise, the card at unemployment rise. Next, the alternative table to resolve. We say we should reject things like focus on free speech and liberalism instead. We should engage in middle class struggle, reject those things only. That is a starting point that allows us to progressive capitalism. Either way, all solve these entirely. Concede means you should give some of yourself. See, we solve the case. We allow a genuine interaction. Our Smith evidence says that anything else or a sort of shell action that doesn't ever resolve anything. The means is not unique. The link debate. The Dean evidence says a fetishization of speech. The starting point there is uniquely bad because it results in results in us making tiny adjustments to status quo. Whenever challenging capitalism broadly triggers already impacts the format of this says legalistic solutions are bad. Remember that the goal of the app cannot be separated from the context of the app. They explicitly say the government should give us legal rights, which we say is bad. Lastly, they say case outweighs, the permutations. First, they all the permutations are intrinsic. They say other instances. We don't say reject cap in every single instance. We say a specific alternative text that is not that. We point out all links are distance the alternative. They the format evidence says that any attachment of like legalistic solutions taints a movement because it results in the kinds of rights activism that always fails with reason no permutation.
Actually start on the NC on the ableism argument, then the case, then the critique. Everyone ready? Cool.
They concede that using Bostrom is racist, which means there's no link differential in the Cypress evidence. At worst, if my evidence outweighs 8 points, and size of link it's 100% drop, which will have one put some defense on the Cypress evidence point. Scope and affects literally every more impression, while your evidence is just about ableism. Second is that they conceded that the role is about through truth testing that just said the allowed case rule about they never proved an external rule about, which means the argument is new in the two hours. She's looking at the argument. So this is just a reason to reject the argument and reason for not a reason to vote me down because vote me down. Three, the material impacts outweigh because they are conceded reasons to all the critique that the material impacts are the only things that affect me. When there's no fiat solution main argument, which means that all the arguments that are making the free go definitely outweigh here. They also did no way between the arguments, so you probably should just vote on this loopy argument when it doesn't apply. This is just reason to reject the discourse of the argument. They also see the substantive warrant for why the Bostrom evidence is bad because it makes that we can never take action because there's no possibility of when material different extinction here. They said that you can just do wank arguments, but obviously that means that they are no one either side link is relevant or they don't access arguments, which that all the arguments by case that way so are still relevant.
Now the case.
They've conceded 100% chance of the case is a good idea. Results specific instance material bonds. That's reverse enforcement. You also know one evidence, which means that's also material bonds. They've also conceded the second evidence that's up to people from being able to protest applicants themselves. They conceded the argument that it controls the internal link to the critique arguments first place. Since the alternative is a good thing, then the permutation should be able to develop through these protests. I.e., then they have to be able to protest so they can access the alternative. Access the alternative in the first place, which means controls the internal link. That is a drop argument. Even if it's not cheap, that is the internal link terms of the dissent. So it's still internal turn in a wing argument against the critique, which is not handled. Now the critique proper. Going for the permutation, it's definitely a reason to vote affirmative. They spend way too little time on it. They say it's intrinsic, but first they have not warranted why intrinsic firms are bad, which means you should not warrant them for them. They do not extend link to fairness or education. Second side, either specifically key to affirm because they need intrinsic permutations against other personal critiques. Otherwise, there's no check and balance. Check back means that infinite number of critiques that upload the after the sort of circumstances. The fact that there's a single link per right, this outweighs just is a reason why outweighs. They say that all the links are disheads, but they consider the viewpoint that the alternative is strong enough to resolve the same link that should resolve every other link, especially when you do it in all the circumstances, which means that yes, all things are much distant, but I solve all those links, which means you should rather than the risk that links is 0%. Also, they say we're focused on legalistic solutions, but obviously the permutation doesn't just focus on legalistic solutions, since it does the alternative as well within the permutation, which means to solve the arguments. They say they all solves the case, but first they cross by the argument why they shouldn't focus on vague overarching systems. They explain literally everything around the specific points. That's all the arguments they make on NC why predictions are a good thing or specific circumstances are a good thing, which means you reject this argument. Secondly, this argument was like 3 seconds long, which means you probably didn't catch it warranted, and there's no explanation. They hold them to a very high standard to say that they explain literally everything. They say risk of extinction outweighs, but I already made the arguments in the Bostrom evidence that they prove a settling question. Also, the fact that the permutation resolves all the reasons why it could possibly cause extinction would mean that it doesn't apply. They've conceded all the weighing arguments for why case outweighs. They'll concede the second argument. They only got to the permutation weighing argument. They didn't argue that case outweighs since in terms of the size linked to capitalism is incredibly small because they just prove why in a single instance we are capitalists. But that's not a reason why to justify literally every circumstance. In fact, the alternative result, most of those links means the link is incredibly small. They also conceded the argument within the permutation that the net benefit is the case arguments and not that he access alternative in the first place. We cannot access the alternative. There's material bonds within that. That was the 8-point reason for the permutation. You cannot reject capitalism if you literally do not have food. If you do not, if you're being reverse enforced against it, the college is getting in your life. You can't access any of these arguments. Which means you don't win an argument. They say extinction outweighs to prove that I've already justified racism, so you prefer case outweighs. Granted.